So Nick's here to walk us through what makes the Radeon Vega Frontier Edition so special. Again, it is not a $100 gaming card. This is a card for professionals?
Absolutely. So this is enabling those pioneers inside the professional type spaces who want to get the best out of visualization, the best performance capabilities, and even next generation concepts like machine learning and AI. We're really bringing those to a forefront, bringing great performance and doing something beyond what a consumer board does. Again, this isn't targeted towards gamers. This is absolutely targeted towards those use cases where visualization is at the forefront and compute capabilities are following right behind that.
But just to keep you in this video and keep you interested, we are going to do a game demo at the end. But really, this card is professionals. In fact, that's why we have all this hardware. The hardware itself just might blow your socks off. Omar's going to tell us what we're running. On the left, you have what?
A Dell 8K display.
8K, which is
7680 by 4320.
And then on the middle, we have a 1080p panel, and inside the box, we have the Frontier Edition running on a Ryzen 7 1800X, not a Skylake X part here, guys. And the workflow is something that a real design and manufacturer would do.
Absolutely. So this is focused on design and manufacturing. So this is taking those use cases which you'll typically see in mechanical engineering, automotive design, aerospace design. You're taking those professional type tools and applying across a whole workflow. So designing the assets all the way to visualizing and looking at those and consuming those in a environment that's either in front of your face with render or VR.
Okay. So like in the old days, if I worked at Tesla or GM, I was making a brand new Gremlin at AMC, I would actually be using a CAD tool that you have on the left. I think it's SolidWorks engineering tool you guys are running. And then you would be running that to a proprietary engine, I guess?
Yeah, so in a lot of cases what you would typically see in design and manufacturing was very proprietary workflows to get to visualization, and you would also see a lot of media entertainment type tools that were very difficult to understand for a design and manufacturing engineering background, so you had subject matter experts in those tools helping to get visualization. What we're essentially doing here is democratizing visualization in design and manufacturing, making it more widely available, taking those assets that someone spent the time to go build and letting them better view, better understand, better capabilities to see how that end result product is going to look like.
Yeah, so I mean, again, it kind of blew my mind away because you have SolidWorks, which is to me an engineering application, and then you're running Unreal Engine on top of that. That's just, I sort of thought it was like a game developer kind of thing, but this is not entirely game developer.
Yeah, this is really focused at that next gen of how do I take something that's been so ingrained in old style CAD type methodologies, and how do I take that next generation powerful engines like we see on some of these gaming engines and really blend the two together so that you're taking that performance that the gaming engines have with a really powerful GPU, but you're also utilizing the assets that are known to the CAD users today. Okay.
So actually that's where Omar comes in with all this cool hardware. We're actually going to do a demo now. Do you want to just step over to the demo? Because I want to see this in action myself.
Let's check it out. All right, so what we're looking at right here is the Dell 8K display, and we're looking at a 1080p display and obviously a desktop with a Ryzen 1800X, 32 gigs of RAM, and Radeon Vega Frontier Edition. On the Dell 8K display, we have SolidWorks 2017 running, and we have an asset right here. Just looking at it on the 8K display is beautiful by itself, but not only that, we're actually able to view it in a different angle. We're able to scroll through it, and in fact, we can zoom in as well. So if you want to look at your brakes in closer detail, you can do that. If you want to look at your disc brakes, you can look at your rims, your tires, everything in full detail, and 8K brings that really visual fidelity to life.
And this is a GPU heavy task right now. They're just simply rotating around is massively GPU heavy.
Rotating on 8K is right now is very GPU heavy, correct.
And if you ran that on a lower end card, it would just be no fun.
Yes, you would see some choppiness in that. That's correct. So what we're going to do now is we have this asset. We've viewed it in different angles. We've zoomed in, and what we want to do right now is we want to actually export this using the Radeon ProRender API, which utilizes OpenCL. And we're going to do just that right now.
So that's a very compute-intensive application, the ProRender. It's utilizing OpenCL, and this is actually taking the capabilities of compute performance this card has, and it's utilizing that to do a really quick representation of the render, as you can see right there.
Exactly, and what we've done right now is we've completely rendered the asset, and we're actually able to look at it in real time. And as it iterates through, it gets clearer and clearer and clearer, and that's using the Radeon ProRender API.
And I want to point out that, I don't know if you can hear this on the microphone, but I can hear the card spooling up. It's definitely a GPU load. In fact, the card itself has little cool LEDs that light up to tell you how much of a load there is on it, and just simply having it render out in ProRender is working that card. The fans are starting to kick up a little bit.
And what we're going to do now that it's rendered and ready to be exported, we'll export it through ProRender, and we're going to call it PC World 1. Save it. It'll take a couple seconds for it to save, and then we'll stop this.
So does this just, while it's exporting over, is this the kind of workload? I mean, clearly, if you're working at GM, Ford, it's the kind of setup you would have. Would you also use this if you were a smaller kind of developer?
Yeah, absolutely. So just as we talked about, the key thing is democratizing visualization. So if you are at a GM or a Ford or a large automotive manufacturer, you have a team that does visualization. You're a mid-size company or a smaller design team in a larger organization. You typically don't have the tools to go off and do this. So we're really bringing that forefront of those tools, having them be integrated into those type of packages like SolidWorks, and really letting that workflow natively visualize, natively render. So it's taking skill sets that aren't that complex and letting the actual CAD user go off and do that on their own.
Okay, so people could start designing their own cars at home pretty soon, I guess, too, right? So, and then of course you've imported them to this one. And where are we going to use UE for?
So we're actually going to use the Unreal Engine editor, and we're going to import the ProRender asset that we exported. To make sure it actually builds the car completely, doesn't give it to me in parts. All right, so we've imported the asset. I'm just gonna rearrange it a little bit so it's more visible.
And so the whole idea is, okay, I've designed my cool race car, I've got it into Unreal Engine 3, or Unreal Engine 4, but...
Yes, so we've imported the car that was rendered and exported with the Radeon ProRender, and you can see it right here in the Unreal Engine window. But just importing it is fine by itself, but maybe we want to add some effects. So it looks a little bit dark right now. I'm just going to add a skylight, which will make it more apparent. And now that I've done that, I can actually just view it on the 2D screen, or I can preview it in VR.
Oh.
So that's another element to this workflow.
So you're going to demo. I'm going to get out of the way of the emitter here, but...
Absolutely. So as I put on my HTC Vive headset, I'm able to navigate the scene very smoothly at 90 FPS, and I'm able to look at my recently rendered car with Radeon ProRender in VR.
Is this something a lot more people are doing now? Because I mean, I would imagine they would only be able to look at it on the panel itself. You look at your 2D render.
Yeah, we're seeing more professional users going down the path of the VR head-mounted displays and really incorporating those into how they look at a final asset and how they view something before they take it into prototype production. It's actually ironic, before this VR type capabilities came out and were easy to go do in these professional packages, a lot of people would do 3D printing to do early prototypes and early views of something. You've essentially eliminated some of that, and you've done it where you can essentially use your PC or workstation to go do that before you actually go build a physical version.
Wow. So I mean, the last thing, so they would visualize in VR, and then they would finally do their...
Absolutely. So I mean, in an automotive use case like this, obviously you're not going to go off and 3D print a whole car, but you're looking at a component in a mechanical engineering company. You'd go off and build a prototype. This lets you actually go off and look at component, look at the, okay, how does that actually fit for the use case that the component is going to be used for.
Wow. Okay. So that we're done with this first demo, and we're going to actually, I know people want to know about performance, so is it possible to set up and look at the performance of the card? versus competitive products?
Yes, we'll do that. We're actually going to put it through a series of workstation benchmarks, SpecView Perf, and we'll put it against up the Titan XP.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and we're going to show you just how fast Radeon Vega Frontier Edition is. And we're going to do it in the gold standard of OpenGL benchmarks, ViewPerf. So what you're seeing on the left, Omar, I believe, has set up a machine with a Ryzen 7 1800X, Titan XP. On the right, of course, we have Frontier Edition. Both same amounts of memory, same CPUs. Omar tells me down to the heat spreader on the CPU, it's exactly the same. So he's going to kick this off, and we're going to see how it does in SpecView Perf, the gold standard in professional benchmarks. And go! Obviously, you can see the one on the right is running faster, I believe, right? That's spinning
correct.
faster. That's better.
Yes.
But this is going to take a while to run, so we're going to talk a little bit more about the machine intelligence, machine learning capabilities of the card. Because I actually thought that you guys had a card just for that specifically, the MI25. Isn't that machine intelligence?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're looking at the data center side of getting a very scalable server type implementation to do machine learning and AI, we're going to leverage our Instinct products, which are focused on that server market. Where you typically see algorithms being developed, though, for machine learning and AI is desk side. So you want to bring those performance capabilities that the Vega engine has in the Radeon Vega Frontier Edition and really take those same frameworks that we put on the Instinct product and enable them for those users to develop on a similar enough platform, but take advantage of our open standard interfaces built around a technology we call ROCm. ROCm enables a series of programming languages, a series of frameworks that are industry standard that allow someone to take existing code, bring it on board to the product and be able to take advantage of the compute performance that's there.
Okay, so the MI25 part, again, goes into a big data center, but somebody's got to make the algorithms that go in there, right? And that's
Absolutely.
how you do this?
Absolutely. So you're taking that exact framework that you're using on the MI25 and you're bringing it desk side, bringing all of those capabilities to go off and do that development and get the great performance to understand how those algorithms are working and where you need to optimize your algorithms.
Okay, so I mean that sort of plays into what the card is. It's a lot of people think, you know, this is going to be a card for me, I'm a gamer, but this is a professional card, right? So, I mean, and in fact, it's interesting because we have Frontier Edition, I think I can say the price, $1199. Professional price against a Titan XP, $1,200, same price. The strengths, I guess we're seeing right now in SpecView Perf is your strength is really to professional applications.
Yeah, so we're taking those what I'd call bleeding edge use cases in professional customer segments and giving them a device that has that exceptional compute performance, has great graphics performance, and is really tied into something that can run desk side, that can go into a standardized platform. You'd still leverage our workstation products for when you need those certified application interactions with applications that have very complex certification process, but this is bringing that visualization capabilities, those compute capabilities, and really bringing them into a product that's going to be affordable, especially for those mid-sized customers who really need to get as much bang for buck on a platform. This is letting them take those visualization capabilities and bringing them to a more affordable platform.
Okay, so I mean, $1,200 might seem like a very, very high-end consumer video card, but to a professional, is that actually a pretty good deal?
Yeah, it's an exceptional deal, especially in those cases where people are going to use this for machine learning and AI. This is going to blow anything away from a performance capability point of view, and it is going to be in an extremely affordable product offering.
Okay. So we're still watching ViewPerf run. I suspect you guys know how this is going to end up. We actually ran it earlier, and we're actually just going to cut to the performance numbers that we have because I don't think I could wait the 30 minutes to see what the results are. Omar actually has the results from the previous run, which we witnessed ourselves. There's no funny business going on. Pull it up, and so what is that? That's maybe about 30% faster, Omar?
Yeah, on CATIA 04, we're looking at about 30% faster. On Creo, about 35% faster. And on SolidWorks, we're about 80% or so faster.
Okay, and those actual applications, those are real applications, right? This is not just made up synthetic stuff, right?
No, it's not. It's actually part of SpecViewPerf, so you can actually get this online if you want. You can download it and you can try it on your own home PC.
Okay, and this very much speaks to the, would you say it's the rendering performance of the card, or?
It's more of the workstation capability of the card, so, you know.
Yeah, so we're taking that driver capabilities that we enable on the workstation side and making it available on the Frontier side, and really ensuring that you can take those applications that gather their performance on the workstation capabilities and run those on Frontier.
So the one thing I have heard, and I'd like to address this, but a lot of people say, well, yeah, that's because you don't get really the high-level graphics drivers. You're comparing your Frontier Edition, which you have professional drivers with, to basically a consumer class card, even though it's the same price in a Titan XP. Is that, how much of it is the driver message here? I mean, is it just weak drivers on their side?
Well, so you can say that the drivers on their side are not workstation, but we also have the advantages on the high bandwidth memory on the Vega device. Architecturally as well, we're really building this to focus on those visualization and compute type use cases. So we really wanted to make sure it had a driver that applies to those applications that somebody would run the Frontier Edition on.
Okay, and I guess the other thing is you really can't get drivers, professional drivers for Titan XP, right? And they're pretty much just what you can get.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same on our RX type products. You're not going to get a professional level driver. So for us, this is really a board that's blending over to the workstation market, but it's it's taking the capabilities that somebody may end up using a consumer board for and giving them another option.
Okay. I mean, it just seems to me like, if I were to boil it down, it seems like Titan XP is probably a really good, gaming card first, whereas Frontier Edition is very much a professional card first. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I'd say we're definitely going after that machine learning, AI, the compute type interfaces, and then blending it right into the visualization side for the professional markets.
Okay, and I think there's actually one more benchmark we're running. Can we set up? We're actually going to, if you want to see OpenGL performance, we're going to run the familiar Cinebench. I've run this many, many times. You can download this as well for free. And this is an OpenGL benchmark. I have not seen this run yet, actually, so this will be cool. Oh, and software license.
All right, we'll kick them off.
Is this OpenCL?
OpenGL.
OpenGL.
Oh, you're running OpenGL on both. Okay, good. Okay, all right.
So we're going to see. So this is using Maxon's professional rendering engine that they sell.
Correct.
And it is a free benchmark.
Yes, you can get it off the web. And we're running the OpenGL portion of that benchmark.
So how is this different from SpecViewPerf, the Cinebench itself, the OpenGL benchmark? Is it, you were saying something about SpecViewPerf being mostly for viewing models?
Yes, so in SpecViewPerf, you're actually viewing the view sets, and you're seeing how the performance of the GPU while it's viewing those cached view sets. In here, you're actually rendering in real time, and you're seeing the performance of each GPU as it's pacing through the benchmark.
And here we go. What's
all right, so we're looking here. We're about 126 FPS for Radeon Vega Frontier Edition, and we're about 109 for Titan XP.
Okay. Are these final drivers too for Frontier Edition, or are we going to crank out a little more, or is that just?
We're always tuning and optimizing, so we'll have a good set of drivers that come out at product availability, and we'll continue to optimize over time as well.
Okay, but that's very much the professional message. I guess what the world really wants to see is this card going to be any good for gaming? Although it is not a gaming card, can we actually set up this and run some games on it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to cut out for a second. We're going to come back. We're going to run some games, and you're going to see Frontier Edition running a game outside the control of AMD, sort of. So stand by. The part gamers care about the most is how Frontier Edition does in games, but Nick is going to tell you why this is the card you don't want, right, for gamers?
Absolutely. This is really going after those professional use cases where they want to bring in next generation graphics capabilities. I'd say if you are a gamer and you're looking forward to Vega, stay tuned. SIGGRAPH, we will be talking about Radeon RX, which is going to be focused on gamers, and we'll also be talking about our more higher end capabilities within the professional line with Vega for our professional Radeon Pro offerings as well.
Okay, but I know I do want to say one thing. I got to sit down with both machines side by side. Not really a Pepsi challenge because I knew there was a green card on the left and there was a blue card on the right. We played Sniper Elite, we played Prey, we played Doom, 3440 by 1440. No frame rates displayed, but just to see if I could tell the difference between Titan XP and Frontier Edition. I gotta say, you know, I mean, if you're just gonna sit down and play those games at that high resolution, you know, widescreen, about 5 megapixels, I don't think you could tell. The regular person could not actually tell the difference, but of course, you know, we did install them in our own machines. But I gotta say, the performance I've seen is pretty damn good. I do want to see how RX goes, though. I mean, for a pure gamer, I think it's worth waiting for. But the professional stuff, to me, is really what kind of makes this card special. And it's actually kind of nice that you can play games. Is there a reason why a professional would want to even play games, though? I mean,
yeah. So we always get those prosumer type use cases where someone is going to go leverage and go do some content outside of what they typically do, and you'll occasionally have people who do game on that side. But then also, we are going to be positioning this towards those creators who might be in game development or might switch from a create on the professional side to a consumer level type gaming experience, and it'll hold its own in those areas.
And in the old days, they would actually have a professional card for development stuff, and then they'd have to swap out to a gaming card.
Yeah, so I mean, our professional driver, which is focused on the Radeon Vega Frontier Edition, is capable to run games pretty well.
Okay,
well. But it's not the focus at all. The focus is going to be the Radeon RX that we will give more information on during SIGGRAPH this year.
Do you think it's ever possible, like you could get a professional card to have the same driver optimizations as a gaming card?
I think you'd want to stick with a consumer level type card if your focus is going to be the gaming experience.
Okay, so it's sort of one or the other generally in that.
Yeah, generally, just because you'll have optimization paths that are done for both, and I think a Radeon RX is going to be more up your alley if you're going to have that game focus.
Okay, cool. One last thing, we're actually going to pull the card out, give you a closer look at it. Stand by, we'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and the last thing you want to know about, of course, is the card itself. So we're going to have Nick walk us through the features. I can't believe it. I didn't even ask him what's inside the card, how much memory, what kind of memory it is. What can you tell me what's inside this blue box?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's 16 gigabytes of HBM2 memory. It's 64 compute units. As well, on the output side, it is 3 display ports.
1.4?
Absolutely, 1.4, and then HDMI 2.0 as well. And then, you know, just 300 watt TDP. So from a performance point of view, it you know, it will need the more higher performance power supply.
But you don't need to. I guess Omar was telling us earlier, even though it has 2 8s, you could run it on lower power, I guess, although you're going to want it.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. And there's a bunch of switches on here. I mean, you guys have had dip switches on here before, but this is...
Yeah, so there's a switch to do VBIOS, some switchable VBIOS, and there's switches to also change the tack color between red and blue
here
on that side there.
So you can actually change it red, blue, and purple, I think? Is it right?
If you combine the two, yes.
Okay. And this is all aluminum. This is not plastic on the shroud.
Yeah, this is very high end.
Okay.
And this shroud's actually been made in the U.S.
Oh man, is there a reason why it was? Because usually everything's made in Taiwan or China.
We want to do something that was very differentiated.
Cool. Can I take a look at it?
Absolutely.
Very nice. I like the blue, but there's also a gold edition too?
Yeah, identical to what you're holding in your hand right there, but that's focusing on liquid cooling, which gives some more headroom on the cooling side.
Okay, and this card does support multi-GPU?
Yeah, so we run multi-GPU in the essence of non-gaming, so it's really focused on those visualization, professional, and the machine learning, where basically it's multi-GPU, and we did demonstrate that running with Blender as an example with 4 of the Frontier Edition boards.
Okay. So the card's going to be $11.99. When are people going to be able to buy this card?
Later this week.
Okay, awesome. And RX again is coming?
SIGGRAPH, look for more information when we do that specific launch event, July 30th.
Can you tell us what color it's going to be?
I'm not going to answer that.
Too many secrets. Anyway, that's cool. We just got an early hands-on look at Radeon Vega Frontier Edition. Expect to see more coverage as soon as it comes out, and of course, RX later on in July.